In today's video, we're making another winter thoughts video. I want to go over the brand new Jamstech model guidance here with you guys. We're going to be taking a look at the temperature and precipitation projections. We're going to be diving into the CFS models temperature and precipitation depictions, and then we're going to be diving into those analogs as well. So there's so much to go over today. Before we do so, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below. We do have our snowfall forecast up and available for you guys there, where you guys can view what our projections are for the seasonal snowfall total from the winter time based on averages. So above average, below average snowfall, stuff like that. That is available in Prestige Weather today for only $5 a month in the pinned comment and description down below. We also have weekly consulting calls for you guys, other consulting services, so much available for the small price of $5. I highly recommend it. Let's get into things, and we're taking a look here at the temperature projections from the Jamstech, and I do apologize. I know this is a very hard map to see because it always has been. It's very zoomed out. It's a global scale, so we're going to try to just pinpoint the United States here. But we can see the Northwest here, and maybe I'm even going to make my pen a little smaller for a minute here just so we can see what I'm actually talking about. But the Northwest here is very warm. Same story with the upper Midwest and the Northeast here. So something like that is the two warmest areas. And then the Rockies, and you take that down to the southeastern states, are also cooler than normal. And this is a little bit more of what my thoughts have been actually as of the last couple of weeks. The further southeast you go, I think those areas could be a little bit cooler than originally projected. And I think that areas to the north could look a little bit warmer than what's been projected beforehand. And this is pretty on par with what a lot of El Niños do. But definitely, I'm thinking we're going to be much more in an El Nino driven pattern than originally anticipated. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and move into the precipitation forecast. Here we are, and as you can see, a lot of the west, actually even the southwest, is below normal precipitation here, so much drier. And then it's mostly the southeast here, up the east coast, where we're talking about above normal precipitation. And this is probably due to that El Nino track that comes in a lot of El Ninos. We certainly expect that this year, just like other El Nino years. And we'll dive into the analogs where we'll see that in just a minute. Let's take a look at this CFS model. We're starting out with November, and we do see below normal temperatures for a lot of the east. And for the west, we're seeing much warmer conditions. This shouldn't come as much of a surprise, as this is a lot of what we've been seeing over the past few weeks and even months. Let's just take this towards December, and things look a little bit confusing. Warm both in the west and the east. Likely won't be both, so I think there is some confusion happening here. So we're going to glance right at January, and this is where things get pretty darn interesting if you ask me. We see some warmth building in here, possibly the beginning signs of a positive PNA moving in, and clearly a lot of this cold is flowing in from kind of the western regions of Canada into the eastern regions of the United States, which is a pretty common pattern. Likely storms moving along the southeast coast here at the same time could spell trouble for the eastern seaboard, to say the least, as far as snowfall is concerned. As we move towards February, we get a lot more classic with this, okay? So we have warmth building in a lot of the western seaboard, obviously, and then a lot of cooler temperatures diving southward for most of the east here. That is what we are seeing here for the month of February 2024, according to this CFS model. A little bit similar to the Jamstech, but really not that much. Maybe on the west and the south, but the north, central and the northeastern states being below normal is certainly not what we were seeing from that Jamstech model. So there is still some differences. Both have the cold centered over the east for the wintertime, which I think is certainly something interesting to note. It's just the area that's mostly seeing that cold is a little bit different depending on which model you're taking a look at. Now, precipitation, November looking a little confusing. Let's just move this towards December, and all of a sudden we do see very similar conditions to what that Jamstech model was showing. This area being above average, the entire west being drier than normal, and same story with the north central and northeastern states. It's mostly just this nor'easter pattern where we're seeing a majority of the above average conditions as far as precipitation is concerned. Very, very interesting stuff here. Mostly this being our storm track, both on the Jamstack and this model for January. Now, by the time we take a look at January here, we can see that we do start to get the north or the southwest, better yet, on board with some above normal precipitation. Same story with a lot of the central states, and still the southeast states, as we're expected to see that nor'easter pattern kick in. Below normal precipitation, mostly for the northwest, and then the Ohio Valley in the northeast here for January of 2024. For February, this is what we end up seeing. Again, above average conditions here in the southwest, and then below average conditions here for a lot of the east, with the exception here of the more coastal areas where we still likely are seeing some nor'easter activity. That seems to be the common theme through the wintertime, according to most of these models, most of our analogs, and pretty much every single projection we have to go based off of. This is the current expectation. We're still expecting this, and we probably are going to continue to expect this as it is an El Nino winter, and this is pretty typical. Now, as we dive into these analogs, this is for December through February, we see warmer temperatures in the west, same story with the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, and then the northeast with, again, this cold being mostly centered over the southeast. Take note of that because, I mean, we saw very similar things on the Jamstack model, a little bit different on the CFS, but we are starting to draw some similarities between a lot of these indications and indicators. As we take a look at the precipitation, look at this. The only thing that's really different than what we've seen on a lot of the models is we see this above average pocket of precipitation in the northwest, which certainly we're not really seeing on any of the models. We do see more above normal precipitation in the southwest than anything, which is a lot more typical of an El Nino. So we're gonna take this with a grain of salt, but certainly the southeast being turned on with these storms, the tap is definitely on, and we are seeing this precipitation really just flow through. So something like this with the storm track seems to be extremely likely according to both models and our analogs. So all signs are pointing towards nor'easters being a very, very common theme this upcoming winter. And we're going to be watching very closely for that because, as you know, there will be cold at times during the winter. And if we're seeing these frequent nor'easters, we're going to have to watch out for big coastal snowstorms for the winter of 2023 to 2024, which is what we've been talking about since as early on as June and July. Now we're all the way into November, finally talking about this as if it's the near term, because it is the near term. We're within a month of meteorological winter starting, and this is certainly something that we need to be talking about now. Now, that's it for this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day with weather videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.